Our first contestant, Charlie Wilson. Time marches on. Time marches on. Charlie Wilson.
Yes, Mr. Contest Chair, time certainly marches on. For me, it's marched a lot further than it has for 99.3% of you Toastmasters in Kansas. Let me tell you how the world has changed over the past 7 decades. The world has gotten kinder. At least a dozen people have asked me today, after looking at me with their head cocked, Charlie, do you feel all right? And that was 2 of my fellow contestants. And when I walk into a room, I cannot stand. People insist that I sit down. And they won't allow me to sit down in a straight back chair like that. It's, someone jumps up from the sofa and says, come over here and sit on this nice comfy sofa. Or some wife says, man, get up out of the recliner and let Charlie sit down. Now that's all and well and good for me. But do you realize how hard it is to get up out of the comfy chair? It's like escaping from the clutches of an octopus. I go to the supermarket, and the baggers insist on carrying my groceries to the car. And some of them are older than I am. And Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts wait on the corner to walk me across the street. The second thing is the world has gotten quieter. Everyone has become a low talker. Even a lot of you Toastmasters. I have sometimes trouble hearing the ends of the sentence. But even TV has gotten quiet. I've got the remote volume turned all the way to the max. And I still have trouble hearing the dialogue. Of course, that could be because of the pounding on the wall from the neighbor next door. And my wife, Carolyn, has started to mumble. Of course, she says, I started to mumble too. So the 2 biggest words in my vocabulary are now, what? And huh. Once upon a time, I drove to breakfast with a bunch of former co-workers. It's called a Romeo breakfast. It has nothing to do with Shakespeare or Romeo and Juliet. Romeo stands for retired old men eating out. And we order our egg white omelets, multi-grain toast, and decaffeinated coffee. We take turns going around the table, and each of us discusses our current maladies, what hurts our little body, aching the most. And then the food is served, and afterwards, we tell jokes. And I'm pretty sure if somebody recorded it, the jokes we tell will be the same ones we told the last one. But nobody remembers, so we laugh. And usually we have to end the breakfast early because at least 2 of us have a doctor's appointment. Now those of you who know me know that I love community theater. And when I first got into community theater, I was cast as the hero. I was the brilliant detective. Really smart private eye, and I always caught the bad guy. And then they started casting me as the bad guy. And now they mainly cast me as the corpse. And I used to want to be the guy that always got the girl. Now I'm the girl's father. And even lately, it's been the girl's grandfather. And I used to sing the baritone solos at the front of the stage. But now the director makes me stand in the back and lip sync. It hasn't been easy. And ladies and gentlemen, I tell you that the time will come when your world will get kinder and quieter, and you'll value the old friendships, and your roles will get smaller. But I have a new role, and I intend to keep on marching for years, because 2 months ago, I became a great-grandfather. Little girl, I didn't realize they made them that song. But I intend to keep marching and spoiling her with candy. And I'll be there when she plays the ladybug in the kindergarten play.
Our next contestant, Sherilyn Neal. Mother dearest, Sherilyn Neal.
Listen, my friends, and you shall hear the story of why I hold my mom so dear. Now, I have to say, we weren't always close, and I didn't always hold her dear. In fact, she used to annoy me to no end, regularly, with enthusiasm and gusto. It wasn't until after I moved away to college and that distance that happened that allowed me to separate myself from her isms and appreciate her as a mother, as a woman, as a single parent, and as someone who is so cute. I'll tell you a story, 3 stories. In the summer of 2009, I was offered a very rare and special opportunity to go to Shanghai and speak at Tongji University in the English language department. I gave informal lectures about HBCUs, which are historically Black colleges and universities, the influence of African Americans and Blacks in jazz music and in rock and roll, and the Panalytic Greek letter system, whereas a traditional Greek letter system would be like delta, 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 the Panalytic Greek letter system is delta, sigma, theta. As I was over in China, experiencing things that I've never experienced before, I realized one very important thing. I was always hungry. Starving. Because in America, when you see tofu is often a substitute for meat, but in China, it's an ingredient. It's like adding onions or celery to any other dish. So I would go to the cafeteria, and I would see this bowl of soup with tomatoes and tofu. I was like, oh, I can eat, oh, I'm so happy. And I would scarf it down, and then I would see a bone in the bottom, which is problematic for me because I don't eat meat. Or I should say I don't do the hard stuff. I do fish, seafood, but no chicken, no beef, and things like that. I call my mom. Mom, I'm having a great time, it's just I'm hungry, I don't know what to do, I don't speak enough Chinese. I mean, my accent's really thick when I speak, you know. She goes, well, Sherilyn, they have McDonald's over there, just go to McDonald's. I was like, not really the same if I were to go to a Pizza Hut, you would expect grease, napkins, and some mystery substance slathered under the table that you find when you slide out and look at the front of your pants. In China, when you go to a Pizza Hut, there's a hostess and a bar. Totally different situation. Mom, I'm starving, what am I going to do? Well, go to McDonald's or something. It's not quite the same. Well, they have a KFC, don't they? Yeah, well, just get a bucket of chicken. Mom, I don't eat meat. You can just pick the chicken out. My mom is so cute. Another instance of my mom's cuteness. One time, I was in the living room. I had fallen asleep at the television. She was in her bedroom. She calls me with the enthusiasm and gusto of a carnival barker the day before the Great Depression. Sherilyn, 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 Sherilyn! I'm darting into the bedroom. Mom, what's going on? What's going on? I see she's half asleep. Some guns, kitchen, some chicken out the fridge. What? There's chicken out the fridge in the kitchen. Okay, Mom. I go to the refrigerator. I'm looking for the chicken. I don't see any chicken. I go back to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, there's no... And then I see my mom, no lie, eyes closed. Mom! She goes, she sent me to the kitchen to get the chicken out of the refrigerator that she was dreaming about. My mom is so cute. Another story, and this is going to be my last story. I was recently, how do I say this? I'm a sweetheart. And he's so good to me. And my mom is very excited that I am dating someone, because this means that she has impregnated me somehow with the knowledge of, oh, she's going to bring home some babies. Which is exciting for her because I'm in my 30s. So she's like, hurry up, Charlotte, what are you waiting on? Wait till I finish grass. So she sings this song to me on my voicemail to play for him for his birthday. Keep in mind, at this point, my boyfriend has not seen her before. And it goes like this. Boop. Hello, this is Cheryl Neal, the mother of the love of your life. Some assumptions have been made. And I just want to wish you a happy birthday. Happy birthday. And I'm holding the phone and I'm listening to this and I'm like, Mom, you realize he's my boyfriend, right? And I can hear you. This is awkward. So that is why I hold my mom so dear. Now, like I said, we weren't always close, but she is always now in my heart. Thank you.
Our next contestant, Nate Stevens. Buttering up, Nate Stevens.
lovely Sunday evening. I was about to have dinner with my friends and family. I could barely wait to eat this meal. The aroma was so captivating, so divine as it percolated down my lungs. Oh, I could barely wait to have the very first bite. Except the person next to me asked, "Can you pass me the I can't believe it's not butter?" When somebody asks you a question like that, you have to ask, what? Not because you didn't hear the question, it's because you didn't believe you heard it. What? Can you pass me the I can't believe it's not butter? Fellow Toastmasters and guests, Mr. Contest Chair, what is wrong with this world? Why do we have a person asking a question like that? And lo, why do we have a product with 6 words in it? I obliged, and I passed the I can't believe it's not butter. Before I did, I looked at it. I couldn't understand that somehow you put it on your bread and you spray it up your face. But it occurred to me, it's absolutely ingenious. You spray it on your bread. It completely eliminates the waste of a utensil. No more cleaning. Best of all, you're not wasting any butter. The more I thought about it, the more ingenious it was. Because I'm sure we've all been at a restaurant, there you are, having your bread and butter. Except the butter's hard. Hard as a rock. You're trying to spread it out and just rip your bread apart. I think the waiter hates me. Worse than that, you're at a restaurant, you have the bread and butter, except the butter's soft. So soft you think it's been out for a year. Probably has salmonella. I think the waiter wants to kill me. I can't believe it's not butter doesn't have any of those problems. It's easy to use, and best of all, on every bottle, there's an expiration date. Absolutely brilliant. Except we don't know how it came up with that crazy name. I can think of 3 different ways that it happened. The first one happened here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's right here in Pittsburgh. There's a group of scientists that got together every Friday evening, and they just love their bread and butter. Oh, it just tastes so good. As much as they loved it, they just weren't ready to accept the fact that their cholesterol numbers were increasing. Instead of giving up their butter habit, they came up with a lovely butter substitute, something that tasted as good as butter, but without all the harmful side effects. Oh, it was wonderful. In fact, it was so good, they started to market it. Since it was from Pittsburgh, they decided to call it none other than Butteryan. Word got around and people outside of Pittsburgh were now trying it. Oh, when's that? Oh, it tastes really good. What is it called? Butternut? The spelling's not so good. It should be butternut. Sure enough, it started becoming butternut. And then even more people are trying it. Could you pass me some of that butter spray there? What's that called? Butternut? I don't think the breakfast's too good. That should be not butter. Hurry up. It was called not butter. Eventually, it was tried all over the world, and then there's people trying it. Oh, could I have a little bit of that? Oh, it's so wonderful. What do you call it? Not butter? Not butter? I can't believe it's not butter. Did it happen like that? Or perhaps it didn't even take place in the United States. Perhaps it took place in England. It was at a stuffy boardroom meeting. Oh, I can hear it now. I am very pleased to announce our last piece of agenda is to come up with a name for a lovely buttery substitute. I am very pleased to tell you that we've come down to our last 4 choices. Pardon? And dear, I will get shot from the council system for me, but we are not allowed to use country rock and roll. That is too much like country rock. At this time, I'm very pleased to announce we've come down to our last 3 choices. Our very first choice, butter late than never. Second, oh butter, where are they? Last but not least, I can't believe it's not butter. If you'd be so kind to mark your butter ballots. We will announce the winner for next week's meeting. It could happen there, or perhaps it wasn't even in England. Perhaps it was in Ireland. Except the executives don't get together in executive boardroom meetings. No, they get together in pubs. That's where the merriment happens and all the revelry begins. Oh, and what do? They have their Irish drinking songs. If you got a drink, you better raise it. And if you don't, as she might have. What was that Irish drinking song again? Oh, yes, there it is. Yeah, but it tastes so good, it does. It tastes so good, I bread. But don't put too much chocolate on, or you'll end up dead. Now we have a butter substitute. It tastes as good as butter does. That you can't refute. Oh, I can't believe I did that. In any case, whether it took place in Ireland, England, or even Pittsburgh, we have this crazy name. I can't believe it's not butter. And I can't wait to get back to that dinner. Oh, that was so divine, so captivating. I want to take my first bite. Except the person next to me asked, "Can you pass me that? I can't believe it's not bottled water."
Next contestant, Tom Parmalee, the man of her dreams. The man of her dreams, Tom Parmalee.
Thank you, Mr. Contest Chair. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. A linguist had just spoken at a national conference. During the question and answer period that followed, he was asked his question. In an easy to understand way, please explain the difference between the words complete and finished. It seems even Webster's dictionary had trouble with this one. His simple response was, if you go out and find the right woman and marry her, you are complete. If you find the wrong woman and marry her, you're finished. If the right woman catches you with the wrong woman, you're completely finished. I don't know if that story's true or not. Can't trust what you find on the internet these days. Let me tell you a true story about finding Miss Right. Her name is Linda. She had arranged for my friend Patrick to go on a blind date with her best friend. Since the three of them were going out, they asked me to go along. I found out later we were going salsa dancing. I don't know what you see standing before you here today, but when I look in the mirror, I do not see a body screaming, "Hey, that's a salsa dancer." For me, salsa was always something you did with chips and not your hips. As we walked into the dance hall, there was a sea of bobbing heads, all of them about 5.5 feet tall. And me, the only giant in the room. Before I knew it, I was dancing with a beautiful woman. I stared deeply at my feet, trying to figure out these dance moves. I know I danced a lot with Linda that night. I danced with her best friend. I may have even danced with Patrick. All a little bit of a blur. But I do know I had found Miss Right that night. We started dating. After 6 months, I found out her family liked me too. Her sister had said, "We think you were sent as a gift from God." Her brother, a man of very few words, summed it up using only 6. "If you hurt her, I'll kill you." I could feel the love. Her mother cornered us in the kitchen one evening after playing cards. She said, "Do you two love each other?" "Yes, ma'am, we do," I replied confidently.
And what are you going to do about it?
We planned to be married on St. Patrick's Day. That year, they should have named it St. Linda's Day. I had been teasing her relentlessly that I was going to do the entire ceremony
With an Irish accent. After all, I was wearing a green tie. I was wearing green and white boxers with tiny shamrocks around. I was wearing Linda's.
patience a little thin. I dropped the accent so that she wouldn't drop me. On our honeymoon, I took Linda dancing 5 nights and 4 days in a row. I was tall. I was dancing. I was the man of her dreams. Flash forward 8 years. I am still tall. I am still dancing. And I am still tall. Am I still the man of her dreams? Now you have to ask yourself at this point, would the man of her dreams get up on this stage in front of 200 people and show them his underwear? Twice. Yes, he would. I am still the man of her dreams. Except now some of them are nightmares. Marriage can be, they say, like a deck of cards. You start out with 2 hearts and a diamond, and you end up with a club and a spade. Where does the strife or the arguing in our marriage come from? Perhaps I had not been honoring my wife, putting her needs before my own. Maybe if I truly studied her, I would know what she means. Ran across Linda, looking at herself in the mirror one day. I snuggled up behind her and put my arms around the middle and I said, "Sweetheart, if you had one wish, what would it be?" "I'd like to be 6 again." That following Saturday, I got up early and I fixed her a big bowl of Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries. Then I whisked her off to Kennywood Park and we rode the Log Jammer and the Thunderbolt and the Jackrabbit, every ride they had. When we left that amusement park, her head was spinning and her stomach was doing flip-flops. That's when I took her to McDonald's and got her a Happy Meal. Extra fries and a shake. Then it was off to the movies. Popcorn, soda, her favorite candy. We barely had enough energy to crawl back home and collapse into bed. I looked over at my wife and I smiled lovingly. "Sweetheart, what was it like to be 6 again?" Her eyes opened slowly. Her face got all scrunchy. "I'm in my dress size!" I should have done. I forgot.